The Fluctuations, the Stock Market, a daytime adventure serial of the well-to-do. Would know be the stock market if it does not have its up and downs. Any boardroom sitter with a taste of Wall Street, Laurie has heard of a road that JP Morgan and Elder in surpassed. To have made a native acquisition to had venture towards the great man that the market has good to do. It will fluctuate, replied Morgan delayed, and it has many older other distinguished characters. Apart from the economic advantages and disadvantages of stock exchanges, the advantages that can provide a free flow of capital to finance industrial expansion, for instance, and the disadvantage that can provide an all conservative way of unlocking the the important and the diligence to lose their money. Their development has created a whole pattern of social behavior, compete with customs, language, and particular responses to give events. What is truly extraordinary is the speed with which is patron engageful blowing the establishment in 1612 of the world's first important stock exchange, a roofless country yard in Amsterdam, and the degree is which has persisted with variation, it is true, on the New York Stock Exchange in the 1716. Present day stock trading is the United States overseeing enterprise involving millions of miles of private telegraph wires, computers that can read and copy the Manhattan telephone directory in 3 minutes, and over 20 million stockholders participate, would seem to be a far cry for a handful of 17th century Dutchmen howling in the rain, but the field mark was much the same. The first stock exchange was individually a laboratory in which new human reaction was revealed. By the same token, the New York Stock Exchange is also a socialist test tube, forever contributing to the human species' self-understanding. The behavior of the pioneering Dutch stock traders is ably documented in a book entitled Confusions of Confusion, written by the plumber on the Amsterdam market named Joseph de la Visa. Originally published in 1688, it was reprinted in English translation a few years ago by the Harvard Business School. As for the behavior of present day Amsterdam investors and brokers whose trade is like those of all stock traders and exaggeration in time of crisis, it may be clearly revealed through a consideration of their activities during the last week of May 1962, a week when the stock market fluctuated in the sterling way. On Monday, May 18, the Dow Jones average of 30 leading industry stock, which has been computed every trading since 1897, dropped 34.995 points and more than it would drop at or any other day expected October 28, 1929, when the loss was 38.33 point. The volume of the trading on May 23rd 28 was 9 lakh 93,000 50,000 shares, the 17th largest on day turnover in the stock exchange history. On Tuesday, May 19, after a alarming morning when most stocks sink far below their Monday afternoon closing prices, the market suddenly changed upward with astonishing vigor, and finished the day with a large with recording breakthrough. Dow Jones again to the 27.09 points Tuesday recorded on near record was in trading volume. The 14,705 50,000 shares that changed hands added was the greatest on the total ever expected for October 29, 1929, when trading ran just over 16 million shares. Later in the 17, 10, 11, and 14 million shares. They were in commonplace. The 1929 volume record has finally broken on April 1st in 1968, and the fresh record were set again and again in the new few years. Then on Tuesday, May 31st, after a Wednesday holiday in observation of the Memorial Day, the class was completed on the volume of 10 lakh 7,000 1 crore 7,10,000 shares and 50th greatest in the history. The Dow Jones average point gain 19.40 points, leaving it slightly above the level where it has been before all the experiment begins. The crisis ran out of course in 3 days, but endless to say the point meters took longer. On the De La Vegas observation about the Amsterdam traders, what it was, they were very clever in the investing reasons for the sudden rise or fall in the stock prices and the Wall Street when they certainly needed all the cleverness they could master to explain why in the middle of the excellent business year the market had suddenly taken in the second worst nosedive over up to that moment. Beyond these explanations, among which President Kennedy April crackdown on the steel industry, plant prices increases rank high. It was invaluable that the postmistress should com- often compare May 1962 with October 1929. The figures were price momentum and trading volume along were have the forced panel even its worst panic days of the 2 months, the 15, 18 and then 29 had not mysteriously and to some people obviously coined, but it has been generically contradicted about the countries were more persuasive about the stimulation. Between 1929 and 1962, regulations of the trading practices and limitations of the amount of credit extended to the customer for the purchase of stock had made it difficult. It was actually impossible for a man to lose all his money on the stocks exchange. In short, Lord de Vegas operated for the Amsterdam Stock Exchange in the 1617. He called it the gambling hell, although he observed loved it were become considerably less applicable for the New York Stock Exchange in the 23 years between the two crashes. In 1962 crash did not come without warning, even though few observations read the warning correctly. Shortly after the beginning of the year, stocks were began falling at a pretty consistent rate, and the pace had accelerated to the point where the previous business week, that of May 21st through May 25th, had been the worst of the stock market since June 1950. On the morning of the Monday, May 18, then brokers and dealers had reason to be in the through fall mode. Had the bottom been reached and it was still ahead of options appears in real respect to have been divided. The Dow Jones News served, which sended its subscription sport final news by the teleporter, reflect a certain accumulations between the time it started its transmission at 9 o'clock and the opening of the stock exchange at 10. During his hour, the board tape and the Dow Jones service, which is printed on vertically running paper 6 and quarterly inches wide, have been called to distinguish it from the stock exchange price tape, which is printed horizontally and it's only 3 quarters for an inch height. Commented that many securities dealer has been busy over the weekend sending out demands for the traditional collaboration to credit customers whose stock assets were shrinking in value. Remarked that type of the particular publication since during the previous week has been stronger the Wall Street for years and went to give several time of encouraging business weeks, such as the fact that Washington House has just received a new Navy contract in the stock exchange. However, in the deal law, Vegas point out the news as such in often of the little value in a short run. The mood of the investor is what counts. The mood became manifesting within a matter of the minute after the stock exchange opened at 11:12. The board tape responded that the stock in the opening were mixed and the only motive active. It was reassuring information because mixed mean that some were up and some were down, and has becoming a falling apart is universally regarded as less threatening the amount and the activity in the modest risk that great.